everybody, it's Jen and
Julie Bagwell.
yeah, Julie Bagwell is our branch lead at our Fountain Inn branch, and she is going to lead us on how to successfully plan for the holidays. So this should be coming to you right before all the crazy holidays hit. So I'm excited to hear from Julie, and she's going to guide us through these holidays. Take it away, Julie.
Yeah, I think sometimes we all wake up and it's like holiday stress or holiday hustle. But none of us should be surprised. Like, I think we're all at this age familiar with the calendar, and we know that January is eventually going to lead into a November and December that have all these holidays, but
Mhm.
sometimes they just catch us by surprise. And so being able to think about it ahead of time, I think helps us set up for success versus feeling like we're just swallowed by it. So I just had a list of some different things to think about. This is not a like you should sit down and do all these things, but I just want you to kind of take it in on like what do you feel like would be helpful as we kind of hit some of these different topics, and then you just ask God like which one of these should I be thinking about now to be able to set up for success that's going to be coming with all the holiday hustle and bustle. So this is not a put more on you to do. This is hopefully tools to help you and get you freedom, not by following the list. So the main thing that I would suggest, and I see somebody with a lawnmower behind
It's
me.
just
That's
like, what is
awesome.
happening behind you?
They're gonna cut grass while we're talking. That's all right. Um, the main thing that I would suggest anytime you're going into a busy season is get your calendar out and start blocking time that you are not going to go to another party or go to another event. And you may end up changing it later, but if you work ahead of time to go ahead now, and if some people are naturally planners. And you have other people telling you what to do. So you know that there's a recital for your daughter's piano, Christmas event, or the chorus concert, or the end of the basketball season, or whatever season it will be, flag football season, banquets, anything that you're committed to, go ahead and put it on your schedule and block it out. So you're, again, working as far ahead as you can into November and December. And then this is what I've only recently learned to do. So I usually block things like that so that I know that they're coming up. But I have a bad habit of when somebody says, "Hey, our friends are trying to get together for dinner on this date," I go to that date and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything." And so I'll put it on there to know that that's on my schedule. What I don't stop and do is zoom out and look at that whole week. And what I have found over and over is I will end up with a week where I've got something every night of the week. And that is too much a lot of times. I'm not telling you it's always too much for your season of life, whatever you got going on. But if we don't kind of zoom out when we're starting those planning, we can find out that yes, oh, those days were available, but you didn't realize the commitments before and after. And so I would say go ahead now and block out some nights, some Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever that you're going to try to hold as fast to be family nights or nights where you get to choose what you want to do and not be booked back to back to back. If you know that you've got a banquet on a Thursday night, go ahead and block that Wednesday night before it so that you've got time to prepare for it, or just be at home and have a movie night or something casual before you have like an event. So I don't know if that um, resonates a lot with you, but I just have learned that if you don't go out there and grab that time and make it a priority, somebody else will grab it for you. And again, when you're not looking at the big picture of like the full week, and your kids need breaks. I don't have kids in the house anymore. I probably overbooked my kids. I wish I would have understood this before of just the time that you can have as downtime for them to rest, for
Mhm.
them to not feel like they're on, whether it's in front of their friends or whatever's going on. But like work now to go ahead and block, maybe try 2 nights a week. And then maybe by the time you get there, you find out something unexpected was scheduled and you can shift it, but try to call out, and even weekends, like our Saturdays can get consumed with different things. Try to block Maybe you do have some things on the Saturday morning where there's breakfast with Santa, but go ahead and block that afternoon that you're going to be able to have downtime or your Sabbath or whatever you need to have time with your family. But I've learned this the hard way, to work aggressively with that calendar. Like when I see things getting clogged up on my calendar, I'll just go in there and block and just say hold, or hold for, rest or something on there that I know that's me time. And if I choose to give it up and go have a dinner with a friend, I can. But I also can say honestly, oh, I just checked and that's blocked. I'm not available. And you don't have to say it's because I want some time at home in my pajamas, to read my book and hot chocolate during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
But it just helps us be more in control.
Yeah.
Time is the currency of our day. I mean, people a lot of times value money. Like I value time over money. And so being able to manage that time as much as you can, to me is just really important. And especially when you've got kids, and the different ages, I mean, it gets tricky. A lot of times you've got kids that need to go to bed early at night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know I have had good intentions of trying to stay a little later at somewhere where we were having a good time. And I think everybody probably wished I took my younger child home 30 minutes before we did, because they started melting down. Because, I mean, we all know at some point, in the end of the evening, they're going to be tired. So, anyway, aggressively looking at your calendar, protecting your time, going ahead of time and blocking things off, I think is just really helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
And can I add to that too? I mean, like I'm
of
in the
course.
season with kids, but I think this across the board because you just gave permission that for us, I don't know about people listening, but I am guilty that I feel like I have to give everybody an explanation why I'm saying no. And so
Mm,
whether you have kids or you don't have kids, like some people are like, well, I don't have kids, but I don't feel like being out every single night. It's okay to say I can't that night. We already have something planned. And that something planned is might be sitting on the couch and reading a book,
right.
and that's okay. Like you have permission to take the break. I think women need to hear that. Like you
Yeah, for
have
sure.
permission to rest. You don't have to have back to back all the things. Like what is one of my friends shared with me? She's like, no, it's a complete sentence.
Exactly.
Like it is hard for me. Like I am a yes person all the way. And you and I are both Enneagram sevens. So
Hmm.
we have major FOMO. We don't
Right.
want to miss out on all the
Right.
things. So
Right.
it's hard, but you and I both know, I'm not going to go in detail, but personally for us, like we can hit a wall because we're so
Mhm.
tired and we
Right.
haven't said no. So I think just it's okay. No is a complete sentence and you don't have to give them a reason why. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. And even our kids, just because I think it's fun to go to all the things as a seven in Enneagram speak,
Mm-hmm.
you may have kids who are more introverted and they need
Yeah.
more alone time to be able to recharge their batteries, and take a break. And so being mindful of that, I think
Mm-hmm.
helps too. And
Yeah.
so again, working ahead of time. The other thing I was just going to mention as far as the calendar goes is to look at so maybe you take a family trip at the holidays. I'm usually on the can we pack so much in and I don't want to miss anything while we're out of town or whatever, and the go, go, go. And I've also learned, and maybe just because I'm a little older now, I don't want to do quite as much, but trying to also, when you look at that calendar time, so maybe you're going on a trip from a Wednesday to a Saturday, can you block your Sunday or your Tuesday? So have time to prep, don't have something every night of the week before you're going out of town on a big trip, because there's extra packing and shopping and things
Right.
that you've got to do. So try to do the pre so that you've got time to plan and not be stressed out. But also that day after, if there's a way to have that buffer day before you go right back into school or work or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to breathe, have a chance to go to the grocery store, get your healthy meal choices versus eating fast food after coming, back out of town, whatever it is. But buffer before and after if you know that you're taking a trip, if it's possible. Again,
Yeah.
just being mindful of we're going to be tired, whatever it is, but to give yourself that time
Yeah.
versus just no transition time from going from here to there to the next thing.
Transition
So
time is good. Yeah.
all right, so that's your calendar thoughts. And then food choices. So, a lot of times when we're going to the holidays, we kind of use it as that free ticket to like, well, it's the holidays and we're going to eat all the things. And that's fine. We have permission, to eat whatever we want to eat. But because often we're trying to be mindful about what we're eating, now is a good time in my mind to try to find some things that can be your like go-to thing whenever everybody's going to go to an event and you're all bringing something to eat.
Hmm.
So knowing now, like I would like to be able to bring some healthy choices to whatever we're going to. Not that you're not going to still eat the other things, but you'll know, hey, there's going to be some protein here because that's what I'm going to bring.
Hmm.
Or I'm going to do something sweet, but it's sweetened with something different. I think that's just something to keep in mind. And again, at the last minute, usually we don't have time to think about those things. So if we kind of ahead of time know, like this year, I'm going to bring this protein packed dip for fruit that's like
Hmm.
peanut butter, cream cheese, and like protein powder, and it's easy and it's quick and it comes together. Whatever you like, but just go ahead and think, well, when somebody says bring this, rather than just going and getting the cheesecake from the the section at the grocery store,
Yeah.
think about what does your body need? What is something to offset probably a lot of the carbs and the sweets that are going to be there that'll be healthy for you, but also for your family or your friends or whoever, that you're there with, just to give them some options. So
Yeah.
thinking ahead about those food choices, thinking ahead of like if your family has a certain meal every year. And again, a lot of us go to family events and they are just they're carb heavy, um,
Lots of
not
cheese.
always as balanced. What?
Lots of cheese.
Lots of cheese, exactly, and lots of desserts. And again, this is not restrictive at all. This is, again, think about it ahead of time. Ask the Lord to help you. Like, what does He
Mhm.
see? But again, if we're thinking about it ahead of time, what could you bring to dinner that's like not a mushy carb? What could you bring a broccoli salad? Then there's something crunchy and green. My grandmother used to always pay attention to textures. I know some families pay attention to color. You want different colors on your plate, but my grandmother was really funny about textures. And so if you were going to have like a green bean casserole that's mushy, she would want something crunchy. And so whether it be coleslaw or broccoli salad or something like that. So, again, thinking about it ahead of time just helps us be prepared for it. So think about, well, what is my contribution going to be? And challenge, again, a lot of times I just take the easy way out. I'm gonna do what I'm familiar with. It's a holiday, just, go with it. But I feel better when I brought something that's a different option.
Yep.
Also, because sometimes people taste it and they think, oh, I would not have thought I'd like it. But now that
Mhm.
I've tried it, maybe then they take a healthy choice on with them and for their families as you go. So just again, think about it ahead of time. When we know we're going to go to big meals, try to remember, you know, how uncomfortable we are after we overeat. And
Yeah.
I don't, it's like sometimes I do it now, not even a holiday meal. If it's a family gathering of sorts, there's this uncomfortable overeating that we do sometimes. So thinking about tomorrow me or
Mhm.
later tonight me, like
Yeah.
I came up with this motto in my mind a few years ago, like I don't want to do anything that I have to recover from. Like my body is doing all it can do
Yeah.
to be my age
Yeah.
and going through, menopause things or whatever. So I don't want to add to things. So I know if I eat a lot of sugar, I'm going to have hot flashes in the middle of the
Mhm.
night. High
Yeah.
sodium things, I'm going to wake up and, feel a little whatever. So I'm just more mindful to try to not do things. And like when I overeat, then I don't sleep well that night. Um, so think about what is 24-hour from now me want to feel
Yeah.
like.
No, that's a great
And
question.
so, yeah, being ready for that. And so, on that, let's talk about alcohol for a minute. So, whether you have, stances on alcohol,
Mhm.
thinking about going into the holidays, that is something that often, is going to be around maybe more than normal. And so, being mindful of what's your plan going to be? Are you going to participate? Are you going to participate with moderation? Or are you going to abstain? So, again, just having a plan. But there's a lot of non-alcoholic fun drinks that you can do, like mocktails. There's
Mhm.
beers that are non-alcoholic. There's little cans of like mixed drinks that are non-alcoholic. So sometimes, again, just thinking ahead, I'm going to bring my own thing. I can stand there with this in my glass and I can go like this with everything, with everybody else, and have a good time versus
Mhm.
feeling like, you know, again, a lot of feelings about alcohol. I don't want to get into that. I just want you to be
Okay.
mindful thinking about it.
Okay.
And if you want to have, drinks or whatever, your choice. But think about 24-hour from now.
Mhm.
Like, how am I going to feel tomorrow if I overindulge in the alcohol? Is that really what I want to do for my body? So
Right.
again, just thinking through what's your plan going to be and making the effort because you're worth it to have something just for you. If you want to bring your own little mocktail type thing and pull it out and not make a big production of, hey, all you drinkers, I'm over here not drinking because I'm more holy or healthy or whatever it is, self-righteous platform we can get on.
Yeah.
But you're important. We need to learn to take care of
Yeah.
ourselves. And so
Yeah.
again, it's just thinking ahead about that. But there's a lot of fun things out there that are more convenient than there used to be, I think, for
Yeah.
that
No, there
little
are
mocktail.
lots of
Yeah.
options.
So again, I don't want to have to make myself recover. I have overindulged in all those things. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's a great question because that's one I often have in the back of my mind too. Like, can I have this? Yes, I can. But I also know how it's going to make me feel when I'm done and my energy the next day. Like you just,
Right.
it does affect your body. So we're not saying like, and you're not saying I don't hear this at all, but yeah, we can have it. It's not saying we don't, but I like the planning, thinking ahead. Like it doesn't, it's not
Yeah.
a all or nothing type
Right.
mentality.
I think rotating the water and out of what, even if maybe you're a punch, kind of a thing to be able to have, one of the, whatever, but then the next one, let's, and then, if you're there for drinking sugar overload, you're going to rotate water in,
Yeah.
no matter what we're drinking, that can
Good one.
help.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody. We're going to hear from Julie. We had some technical difficulty, and that is why we're in new outfits. If you're watching us from the video, so podcast people, you're like, what is happening? But people watching, we have brand new outfits on. I'm very sweaty. I just recorded a workout. But I'm going to let Julie pick up where she left off, and hopefully, technology will be in our favor today.
There we go. So it was funny because this next point was going to be about perfectionism, and we had these technology struggles yesterday. It was not perfection yesterday. Hopefully today we're good.
Yeah.
But the point about perfectionism is sometimes that can just rob us of joy when we have these expectations that things need to go a certain way, especially like holidays and family gatherings. Some people's bend is for like decorating and decor, and you want things just right. And we have all these comparisons, whether it's somebody on Instagram or it's in a magazine or Pinterest or whatever, that sometimes we can get so hung up on the presentation of the food or the things that are around us that we kind of forget the people, which hopefully is the reason that we're gathering, is to enjoy being with the people that are around us. So, just this is a check. Again, if this is natural for you and that's like your jam and you do great in that and it doesn't rob you of joy, have at it. But sometimes, just stopping and making sure that where you're spending your energy is really giving you the bang for the buck that you're looking for, especially during these busy seasons, is sometimes helpful. And one way you can do that is ask your family, depending on kids' ages and stuff, like what did you remember from last year about Thanksgiving that was special? Or, at Christmas, there's a lot of things we could do. But, if you could only make sure you got one thing done, is it this, you all take a family trip to go see Santa in person, or you ride horse and buggy, or you all sit down together and watch Elf, or what it is, but like check with your family to see what they value and push those things to the top of your energy list. And then maybe some things, and this is something I learned one time, well, for years, I did this whole effort to have like Santa presents wrapped in like per child in different present wrapping paper. So it'd be so special so that one kid would know, oh, this is all my stuff. And I'm telling you, there were times like Christmas Eve, I am in the attic, trying to finish all this last minute wrapping. Well, later on, like I said something to the kids about that when they were older, and it really never crossed their mind that it was some kind of special wrapping paper and it was unique to them or on theme with what they liked. They just went in and I just was like, oh my gosh, like that caused me so much stress. Whereas if I had the, ability to step back and say, just
Yeah.
because my friend did something like that, maybe it wasn't a good fit for me. So anyway, those are things. But yeah, if your kids are old enough, maybe just say like, what was one thing you love about New Year's Eve or whatever, and just like make sure that those things that are a priority for your family are where you
Mhm.
spend your energy, and not get sucked into trying to meet all the things on social media that are trying to tell
Yeah,
you
I love
how
that
to do
question.
things. Yeah. So, near the end of my list here, because we could go on, and I'm sure you guys listening probably have some good ideas too about how to prepare. But, just reflecting on the holidays past, like even so, one version is ask your kids, but then ask yourself, like when I think back on holidays that I really loved, was there something that your grandmother did? Was there something that, your parents did? Was there something that you really enjoyed? And I think often when we go back and look, it's not that we remembered, man, that wreath on grandma's front door was perfection.
Yeah.
Or, it was her crispy bacon for breakfast in the morning. I don't know. Some of those details, usually what people, when we reflect back, what we get is this feeling. I felt accepted. I felt warmed. I felt loved. I felt, like, welcomed, whatever those kind of feelings are versus whatever the place setting was at the table, or some of the things that can get distracted. And maybe holidays are hard because you didn't have some of that growing up. But if you, did, just think back to like, what was that? So again, it's not always about, well, I need to have a formal place setting, or the things that sometimes are distractive. So just do a check. Where do I want to spend my energy? Make sure we want to have enough energy for the things that matter for you and your family, and
Mhm.
that's where we'll spend our focus. Jen, I was wondering if there was anything that you can think of, like growing up, was there between those holidays of Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, is there anything that like you remember as a kid that you always looked forward to that either your family or grandparent or somebody did?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to ask this question to my kids because I have a feeling there are things that I do like wrapping paper and they're like, we do not care, but
Yeah.
I'm curious what they would say. Because mine, my favorite, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's, was just getting together with my family, like my grandparents, um, having Christmas breakfast together. Then we have Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving. It was always around food that was my favorite because we all were together, um, and everything just stopped. So I grew up as in a pastor's home. So we were constantly at the church. We were constantly on the go. But I knew at those times we were all together, and my parents didn't have to be anywhere. I didn't have sports. We all just could be together. And that's I still love that. Everything just stops, and that's
Right.
my favorite. So, nothing. I mean, there are certain traditions, yes, that we do that I love, but that's my favorite to separate
Yeah.
them. Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. And I think, yeah, good to pause and just not autopilot. We do this every year. We have to do it every year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's okay to take a year off and make sure that that's
Yeah.
really what you want to do. Traditions are great, but sometimes it's time to shift a tradition for a season. So don't be afraid to shift if you need
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
The last thing is just really, again, it's probably natural for some people, but I don't always stop and just really ask God, like, hey, God, like for this season of my life, going into this holiday season for this year, like what do you want me to focus on? What do you see my family needing that may be different from before? And really ask him to bless these family gatherings, again, whether they're coming to your house and you're hosting, or even going to somebody else's house, or attending holiday banquets and things at school like chorus concerts and things like that. I've been reading with John Eldridge, that book, Experience Jesus, really. And he talks about this consecration process. And I just really not thought about it the way that he teaches about it, but it's made me think, like when I come into work in the morning, like I want to consecrate this day to you. In my office, I want things to happen that honor God. Or, when I have somebody comes to my home and we're going to sit in the living room, like to stop in that room and like, Lord, I don't know what this conversation is going to lead to. I want it to be honored. Do you want to consecrate? Basically just saying, giving it to the Lord to be whatever it needs to be for kingdom difference, not to make Julie feel good or, whatever it is that are distractors to that. So as we go into Thanksgiving, like to really stop and say, like, Lord, I want to consecrate this week to you. Like we have extra time off work. Our family's going to be coming. I want to use this time to honor you. or even as you travel and go into somebody else's home or your hotel room, just being mindful of like, I'm consecrating this to you. I don't, sometimes traveling's hard, especially with kids, and people have short tempers sometimes, but just being mindful that you are trying to bring the kingdom wherever you go. Or if there are people coming to your house, that they're going to experience kingdom hospitality, warmth, hopefully not somebody that's so frazzled about the pot roast that may be undercooked or overcooked, but they're going to see somebody that cares that they're there, somebody that values
Yeah.
them, and just kind of let him direct, because obviously he cares more about people than pot roast, or the relationships more than what kind of dressing you serve this year.
Mhm.
So that obviously may come naturally to people, but I'm telling you, sometimes we just get so in autopilot of, oh well, here's the things that we have to get done, and we make the shopping list, and the decorations from the attic. But do we sit down with the Lord and say, hey, this year, like, can you give me a minute of pause here and
Mhm.
share with me and guide me through these decisions that I'm making? And he may not download anything huge right there, but as you're going, you may see things that give you a second look. And a lot of times that's what it is for me, is when the Lord brings something to mind. Sometimes I think it's just me, but if there's that hesitation or there's a double look at something, then I'm like, oh, I think that's the Spirit trying to get my attention. And sometimes, even in the moment, it doesn't seem to make sense. But He knows who's going to show up to your house during the holidays. He
Yeah.
knows where you're going to get invited to go during the holidays. He knows the unexpected things that you don't know. And so, just trying to be really walking in step with the Spirit, then hopefully we don't miss opportunities to spread joy, which is what we say we would want to do during the holidays,
Yeah.
versus seeing a frazzled version of ourselves
Mhm.
that may just not be the best representation. That we may have a missed opportunity. And I
Yeah.
say this from experience. I'm not judging anybody. I have overdone, I have overbooked, overcommitted. And so I hope, as you maybe think a little more about the holidays, I'm preaching to myself here too, to make sure that I'm trying to represent well in this stage of my life,
Yeah.
to what God has me to do. And again, I like traditions, but I also need to hold those loosely, for these different seasons and changing. So that's kind of the things that I was mainly thinking about, to have us, just as we prepare and get closer. Jenn, I don't know how this will be presented. I don't know if, again, if people want to go on our Facebook page, or like if they have some ideas or things to throw out there as good suggestions. Again, we're all ears to learn. It's not a one-way street at Whole Fitness. We want to learn from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely share this one, share it with other people that, because all of us, I feel like every holiday, we need to hear something like this going into the holidays. Like, I think we set expectations. We put a lot of pressure, or at least I do, every year. Jeremy and I are like, why are we doing all these things? And we get really annoyed. Like, we're forgetting the point is Jesus and his
Yeah.
birth. And we don't want to be a Scrooge, but we also don't want to be like lost in all the doing. So I love that, you were just saying, just pray, take a moment, pray and pause, like give God the holidays. Like, don't come into January burnt out, frazzled, and like I always say, feeling like a big ball of cheese. Use these practical things that you've shared. And I'm gonna ask my kids. I'm gonna send them a text. We have a family chat, and I'm gonna ask them, "What's your favorite things about the holidays?" Because if it's not what I'm thinking it is, that's gonna go. you know
Right. Right.
so because I have expectations, or I put expectations on people or on myself, that it should look this way, it should be this way, and then you get frazzled, and it's so frustrating. So I love
Yeah.
them. These are great tools. Well, you asked me what my favorite tradition growing up. What was yours?
Well, um, it's so funny because, like, I don't have kids in my home anymore. We're at this new season. Um, and not everybody of my kids live in our area, so we don't see them as often. So I think uh when my son's family is going to be with us specifically for Christmas, so this is a new tradition. They're not big on gift giving. My kids have all been married for, a few years now, but some of them, when you're starting out, you don't have a lot of extra money. And so
Mhm.
we've shifted from like everybody buying everybody presents to drawing names as a family, which was a huge change for us. And so, and there were different people that were resistant, but I'm telling you, even this included me and my husband. Like, we didn't give everybody gifts. We went in there too. So we had two names to draw for, and I didn't have to buy 8 or 9 gifts, people, things. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, the first year we did that, it was the best Christmas I have had, and I don't even know how many years, because I didn't feel like, okay, well, I have to make sure I get this son-in-law the same number of items or spend the same amount of money as my other son-in-law, as if they really were going to sit down and compare it, which they would not have. But I love that tradition because I mean, it was selfish, because I was like, I had so much less that I had to do, and I didn't
Mhm.
have all this competitive thing in my head of making sure that everybody was equal. So that's our newer tradition that we've done. And again, not everybody loved it because they're like, oh, I love to buy so and so a gift. But anyway, I enjoyed it because it was just less. I mean, we all, we're not needy, thank the Lord.
Mhm.
And so being able to buy one nicer gift of a want for somebody, to me, was very satisfying versus, sometimes buying knick-knacky stuff that people may or may not really even need or use. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's our shift that we've done in our family that I've enjoyed.
Good. I love that. I love that. I would love for both of my families, in-laws, my family, it's just like get on board with that.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
yeah.
I know. Well, I was like, if you really like buying gifts, for somebody in particular, they're going to have a birthday, just
Yeah.
focus on birthday. And then it's not so much at one time that,
Yeah.
becomes overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, this has been so good and so helpful, and I hope I'm encouraged. And I've been writing down your tips because I do not want to go into the holidays just with an attitude of like, ugh, here we go, and then come out like, oh, that was exhausting. Like,
Right.
to change that, change those
Yeah.
rhythms. So, thank you,
Well, good.
Julie.
Thank you for the invitation to think through it, because it helped me prepare myself as well. So again, like I said, I'm learning too. It's the first time I've been this age at this stage of my life. And so I need to slow down and ask those questions for our family too. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll all we'll come in with more joy and hope, and we'll leave the season feeling like we have a heart that's satisfied and full, and not just a tired body.
Yeah. I agree. All right, real quick, for those who are local, where do you teach? When do you teach? And who can come?
So Whole Fit meets in Fountain Inn, which is close to where I live, and we meet at 601 Fairview Street, which is Capstone Church. They host us there. We meet on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And if you want to know more about the calendar, you can always go to Whole Fit's social media pages. Every week they put on there the different classes that we're having and the times. I don't see that that's changing anytime soon, but depending on when you listen to this, if you decide you want to visit us in a class, you may just want to go check online to make sure that's still when we're meeting. But we'd love to have you in Fountain Inn. We do a total body workout. It's a surprise every week of what we do. Try to keep things different. We have weights and things there that we use. Sometimes we're outside, sometimes inside. But I really like to focus on people who say this phrase, because I said it for years too. I know I need to do something, but I don't really know what to do. And that's who we would love to get you engaged with us. It's a very welcoming, fun group. You go at your own pace at those workouts. Nobody's going to sit back and count how many things you do and judge you for it. It's really welcoming, just first step getting back into fitness. Or if you do fitness at a gym, but you want to be able to incorporate spiritual teaching with your workout, you're always welcome to join us.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. We hope to see you in class. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Julie.
Yay. Thank you so much. See you guys soon.
All right, bye, guys.